foods that I shouldn't eat if I want to heal. And it was a really great journey, actually. Like, of course, it was terrible and it was always sad because people would eat in front of me and wonderful foods and nobody understood. They're like telling me I was on a diet, like constantly telling me, well, you're on a diet. And you're like,
what would you call it if it wasn't a diet? Like, what would you phrase it as?
I guess I just felt insulted because people would act like it was in your head. So I remember going to my uncle's house and he'd make these biscuits and gravy. It was such delicious food, but I couldn't eat any of it. Mm-hmm. And so he would just kind of shame me into being like, you're on a diet, you should just eat the food, like, because he felt bad, I guess. So he would make me feel bad. And I just experienced that a lot with people. So it's like, but I'm making like a decision that I have to make because I want to actually be able to eat again.
No, and that makes sense. That makes complete sense. But you're right. There's always this thing where it's like, and I think it's a parent thing. It comes from a good place, but it can be very hurtful, right? When someone's like, why aren't you eating? You need to eat and be happy and who cares like about stuff. And it's like, and that's an easy thing to say. And it sounds like it's coming from a good place. But if you're doing something because you said it perfectly, like this is to better your health. This is important to you. It's hard because it's like you want everyone to respect it. But like, I think it's also understandable that people don't, because it's like they're living in their world where that's their version of caring. Food is like, especially in Hispanic cultures, that's how you care. Italian cultures, you make people food, you feed them, and that feels good. And when people aren't eating, then something's wrong with them, because in reality, the other person doesn't feel good about. That's how they show their love, right? And so there's this whole like dynamic of how are we communicating here. So I get what you're saying. That must be like super tough to hear that. So what do you do in these situations when stuff like that happens?
When someone kind of shames you.
Yeah. Do you ever consider like, oh, they're right, I should just stop this? Or,
yeah. I mean,
really?
that is this is something that is something I work with my clients on, even if they're just trying to lose weight or something, at some point, somebody in their life they may not do it on purpose, but they might act like almost sabotage because they're kind of worried about their change. Mm-hmm. And so like, when you're like, you want to belong, right? You don't want to be the outsider that's sitting there with your carrots on your plate where everybody's got the delicious, biscuits and gravy meal. So you feel like you're isolated. You're like, I don't belong. And so it's kind of trying to help them figure out like, how can you still belong with the people in your life when it's not, but it doesn't have to be about food. Just like you said, we are very conditioned. Food is a way we show love, especially when you're visiting people, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I love to cook wonderful foods. I love to go all out when people come to visit. And I know that's what my uncle was doing, right?
Yeah.
And he just couldn't understand that it was something that I was like, I don't want to be having a reaction. I'm very, very controlled. So the idea of being sick in somebody else's house, and we would go there for like 7 days straight, that was horrifying for me. Like, I don't want to be in this weak state.
Yeah, no. And that's, so what would you tell a client that was going through something like that, or what worked for you, or what would you tell a person? Because I feel like that's going to be an issue a lot. So people listening probably can relate. They go, every time I try something, because I can relate, and I haven't done anything too crazy, but I know the other thing that you didn't mention, or you kind of alluded to, is it kind of becomes the subject. Like if you're at an event and everyone's eating enchiladas and tacos and they're pouring the cheese and the nachos and you're the carrot person, like, what's that? Diet? Oh, Will's on diet again, guys. And then someone comes in, a family member's like, you're on a diet. Why? And then that's all people are talking about. And because I've done challenges a lot. And like when I hang out like with family members, sometimes they're like, are you on any restrictions? Or like, I'm like, why does this always have to be the subject? So I'm assuming that happens a lot. I'm sure that happened to you, obviously. And I'm assuming it's happened to people listening. And I don't know what to do with that. Thank God I'm stubborn and I don't really care. And so like it bothers me for like 2 seconds and then I move on. But for most people, it probably bothers them and they don't know what to do.
If you enjoy puppies and you enjoy homes, there's Puppies Without Homes. If you subscribe to this channel, that could help a puppy find a home, I bet, probably. I wouldn't risk it.